Welcome to our channel, where we dive deep into history's most iconic events. Today, we embark on a journey to explore the tragic story of the RMS Titanic. Join us as we uncover the captivating history of this legendary ship, from its conception to its fateful maiden voyage. The Titanic's inception. Our story begins in the early 20th century, where a remarkable vessel was designed and built by the world-famous Harland and Wolff shipyard in Belfast, Ireland. Named the RMS Titanic, it was touted as the unsinkable ship, equipped with cutting-edge technology for its time. The Titanic's construction was a feat of engineering, featuring 4 funnels, opulent interiors, and accommodations for over 2,000 passengers. The Titanic's blueprints were meticulously detailed, and the ship was heralded as a marvel of modernity. However, little did anyone know that this magnificent vessel would soon be engulfed in tragedy. The maiden voyage. In April 1912, the Titanic set sail on its maiden voyage from Southampton, England, bound for New York City. Among its passengers were the rich and famous, seeking luxurious travel. Unfortunately, they were unaware of the impending tragedy that lay ahead. The voyage began with grandeur and excitement. Passengers reveled in the opulence of the ship, dining in extravagant restaurants, and enjoying the amenities such as a swimming pool, gymnasium, and even a squash court. The Titanic's passengers included prominent figures like John Jacob Astor IV, Benjamin Guggenheim, and Molly Brown, all of whom sought the prestige of crossing the Atlantic on the grandest ship ever built. They were joined by immigrants in search of a new life in America, each with their own dreams and aspirations. The tragic collision. On the night of April 14, 1912, disaster struck. The Titanic collided with an iceberg in the frigid waters of the North Atlantic. This momentous event was the catalyst for one of the greatest maritime disasters in history. The collision resulted in a series of unfortunate events, beginning with a gash in the ship's starboard side that allowed seawater to flood the compartments. As the iceberg scraped along the ship's hull, the damage became more extensive. The Titanic's designers had believed that the ship could remain afloat even if 2 of its 16 watertight compartments were breached. However, the collision had compromised more than that. The situation quickly escalated from manageable to dire. Evacuation and chaos. As panic and chaos ensued, the crew attempted to evacuate passengers into lifeboats. The lack of sufficient lifeboats and life-saving equipment became a critical factor in the number of lives lost. The ship had lifeboats for only a fraction of its passengers, and many boats were launched half-empty, as passengers and crew struggled to comprehend the gravity of the situation. The ship's officers and crew displayed immense courage and dedication in their efforts to save lives. The evacuation was far from orderly, with some lifeboats leaving with only a handful of passengers, while others were overloaded. The crew's professionalism and passengers' resilience were put to the test as they tried to maintain some semblance of order in the midst of chaos. The loss of the Titanic. Despite the valiant efforts of the crew, the Titanic's fate was sealed. In the early hours of April 15, 1912, the ship succumbed to the icy depths of the Atlantic Ocean. The ship's stern rose into the air, and it split into 2, sending passengers, crew, and debris into the frigid waters. Over 1,500 lives were tragically lost, and the world was left in shock and mourning. The survivors, who had managed to find refuge in lifeboats, watched in horror as the majestic vessel descended into the abyss. The silence of the night was broken only by the cries of those in the water, desperately clinging to debris or each other for a glimmer of hope. The cold, dark sea had claimed the Titanic, leaving an indelible mark on history. The investigation. In the aftermath of the disaster, a comprehensive investigation was launched to determine the causes and responsibilities. The findings shed light on the negligence, design flaws, and inadequate safety measures that contributed to the Titanic's demise. The inquiry revealed a series of tragic oversights that led to the loss of so many lives. One of the key factors was the lack of binoculars in the crow's nest, which could have potentially allowed the crew to spot the iceberg sooner. The wireless operators had been overwhelmed with passenger messages and failed to relay a nearby iceberg warning, further compromising safety. Additionally, the ship's speed was not reduced in the presence of ice warnings, a decision made in part to reach New York ahead of schedule for publicity. Survivors and heroes. Amidst the tragedy, stories of heroism and survival emerged. Passengers and crew members who helped others at great risk to themselves are remembered as heroes of that fateful night. Chief among them was the ship's captain, Edward Smith, who went down with his ship, setting an example of duty and honor. Another hero was Margaret Brown, also known as the unsinkable Molly Brown. She took charge of her lifeboat, encouraging those aboard to row back and search for survivors. Her leadership and compassion saved several lives. The ship's musicians, who continued to play as the ship sank, provided solace and comfort to passengers in their final moments. Their actions were a testament to the human spirit's resilience in the face of impending doom. The legacy of the Titanic. The sinking of the Titanic left an indelible mark on history, prompting significant changes in maritime safety regulations. The disaster led to the establishment of the International Ice Patrol, which tracks icebergs in the North Atlantic to prevent similar incidents. The requirement for lifeboats on all passenger ships was also increased, ensuring there would be enough for all passengers and crew. The Titanic story has continued to captivate the world's imagination for over a century. Numerous books, films, and documentaries have been produced to explore the events of that fateful night. The ship's wreckage lay undiscovered for decades until it was found in 1985 by a Franco-American expedition. The artifacts recovered from the wreck have provided valuable insights into the daily lives of those on board and the conditions they faced. The story of the Titanic is a poignant reminder of the hubris of humanity and the unpredictability of nature. Thank you for joining us on this journey through the history of the Titanic. If you enjoyed this video, please like, share, and subscribe to our channel for more captivating tales from the annals of history.